Hello everyone, Anita here and welcome to another video. Today I will be talking about scanners and scanning and pretty much everything I know and use that has to do with digitizing your traditional artwork. You know, for use in printing and stuff. I got this question recently and I've got it in the past, so here it is. Here is the first of hopefully many videos that have to do with, you know, how to do stuff. I promise I will try not to ramble. Bear in mind that this is not a step-by-step guide because, you know, that's impossible to do as everyone uses different, machines, like as in scanners and softwares, and has a different style of painting and different expectations. You know, what this video is supposed to be is a list of tips and sort of a starting point. You know, like everything else, even scanning your artwork requires practice. So don't give up if you can't figure it out, or just, you know, it doesn't work immediately, because it will eventually, I promise. I've been there. The first thing to consider is what tool you are going to use for digitizing, I love that word, your art. Over the years, I went from my scanner, my old scanner, through my iPhone, my DSLR, you know, the digital big camera thing. And eventually I've settled on my scanner again, this time my new scanner, and this will be the tool that we will be using in this video. Now personally, I use a Canon Pixma, I think that's what you pronounce it, one of those 3-in-1 scanner printers. And I bought it because it was cheap and I couldn't afford anything more than that. I don't really believe that you need a special scanner for digitizing your artwork, but of course, there will be scanners that work better than others and will make your life easier. But this is not a video where we will discuss the best scanner, because I have, you know, I can't do that. But in this video, I want to show you how to get the best, or at least, you know, try to get the best out of the scanner you already have. Today, I will be using this sketch as an example. I've torn it out of my sketchbook to do this thing. And this is why I can never have a proper sketchbook, I swear. It's uneven and wrinkly, and it will be a perfect test subject, because these kind of paintings are the worst to, you know, digitize. The first thing you want to make sure is that the surface of your scanner, you know, the glass bit, is completely clean and free of any greasy stains or fingerprints, you know, dust, animal hair, etc. My house is very dusty. I have a dog, I have a cat, everything gets nasty. And you won't be able to get it all, of course, but the more, the better, because editing out little hairs and specks of dust can be a nightmare, especially if you have a lot of paintings to edit. Number 2, find your settings. And this is probably where you are going to spend the most time, experimenting, because every scanner is different, you know, but I hope we can cover the basics, at least the ones that I've been using for a very, very long time. In your settings, you should be able to set the resolution and the file type that you want the painting to save as at your computer, or in my case, it's an SD card. The resolution should be at least 300 dpi, because that's the standard for any printed goods. But it doesn't hurt to go higher if possible, as it makes, you know, editing easier, and it allows for bigger prints, you know, if that's the style you're going for. For example, I have recently really taken to scanning my artwork bigger, because it kind of like shows the details, and I just really like it. I can scan at max 600 dpi, so that's, you know, what I have selected. But I wouldn't mind it even, you know, to have a higher setting, like above 1000. Perhaps my next scanner will have that. For the file type, you know, it's really up to you. I had 3 to choose from, and I've selected JPEG. It's not ideal, but it serves me just fine, so that's enough for me. Now the next very important thing I pay attention to are the auto image enhancing options, like contrast or sharpening, or, you know, color balance or things like that. I turned them off completely. And figuring this step out was like a breakthrough point for me, because the resulting image is perfectly flat and ready for manual adjustments. As I've mentioned before, there are scanners that are doing a better job at it than others. And you might want to scan a picture with and without the adjustments to see how your scanner is handling it. But in my experience, all the cheap, generic scanners that I've had were doing really a terrible job at auto-adjusting the image, because they are not made to see subtle changes in color or delicate watercolor washes. That's what I've mentioned in the beginning, that a lot of depends on what medium are you using and what are you really going for. It's much easier though to just turn the auto adjustments off completely and then, you know, do the adjustments yourself after the image is scanned. The resulting colors will be washed out, but the image itself will be really close to the original. After that, choose a place where you want your image to be saved, and you are really ready to place your painting in the scanner. Now, the trick is to place it as flat as possible. That's why I've said that this particular painting, this particular sketch, is a perfect test subject, because it's so wrinkly. Now, perhaps some of your paintings are flat, and that's just great. But in my case, the paper is usually at least a little bit wrinkly and usually very stubborn, because I paint mostly on 300-gram paper. And to be fair, you know, a 300-gram paper is easier to flatten than any thinner paper, because you will only have, you know, 1 or 2 big buckles instead of those, you know, tons of tiny wrinkles. So a lot of depends on the paper you're using as well. If it has been stored for a while, you might have less trouble, but I tend to scan my paintings straight after finishing them, you know, when the paper is still buckly, let's call it this way. It helps to place something heavier on the lid of the scanner, like a couple of books, or simply, you know, just use your hand or your elbow to press the lid evenly. You know, not hard, but just evenly. Apply even pressure. It all depends on the type of the scanner. Now, this particular one has this ability to scan books, and the lid expands. You know, the hinges kind of pop up, so it's also a bit more flimsy. My scanner has this little preview picture where I can see any uneven shadows and, you know, make adjustments if needed. The majority of the scanners have a similar options, which really saves time. You know, whether it's on the scanner itself or you can see it as a little preview image in the on the computer, you know, it's really helpful. Now, if your paper is really stubborn and still keeps buckling under the lid, like mine did, it might also help to add 1 or few more sheets of paper on top of your painting, inside the scanner. It will help apply that even pressure, and then of course you just top up with all the books and hands and everything. And, you know, then you just hit scan, and after a moment your picture should be saved in the destination you have chosen. In my case, like I've said, that is a little SD card. Now, the option I have presented in this video works only for paintings that are the size of your scanning, you know, the scanning area, like the glass bit, or smaller. My printer, or rather my scanner, is the generic A4 size. I believe in the States it's like a little bit smaller than the letter size. So that's the size I'm basically working with most of the time. If you notice, my paintings are always A4 or smaller. You can of course purchase an A3 scanner, but those are always much more expensive than, you know, just your regular ones. Now, a good alternative is to find a nearby copy shop. What I mean is, you know, that place that prints your stuff and laminates and binds and scans whatever you give them. Now, you have to pay a fee, of course. So if you have a lot of things to scan, or you just paint on bigger sizes more often, then probably it will be cheaper to just get a bigger scanner or try to piece it together. Now, I don't play with the whole, you know, scanning separate bits and piecing it together, because you know, it has to be a specific kind of scanner for it to work nicely, and it just never worked for me. I find it way too much trouble for it to be worth it. Alternatively, you could use just a good DSLR. I had it. Just a good big digital camera, or even a good phone camera. Like, I've done it before, but only if you don't really plan to print it in a big format. At some point, I've painted on canvases, and the only way to digitize those was to take high quality photos. Now, if you guys would like to see how I did that, you know, just let me know in the comments below, and I will think about it, because that's very tricky to, you know, make a video out of, at least for me. Now, I hope this video helped you understand a bit better how to scan your artwork, you know, even with a cheap scanner. It takes some time to learn how to make this first scan, and it sounds really easy, but it's kind of tricky. At least it was tricky for me. But after you've learned it, it becomes, you know, much faster. It kind of gets into this routine. Now, in the next video, I'm going to talk about how to edit your scans, you know, clean the unnecessary bits, adjust the colors and all that thing. But this video is already getting a little bit too long, so I've decided to divide it into two. Thank you so very much for watching, guys, and let me know in the comments if you liked this video or if I should improve on something. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye!